with nearly 1,000 videos, or mostly lectures online, one can say I've made a fair number of recordings. Today I want to show you though this new Canon EOS M. Well, it's not that new, but new in my bag. What I'm used to, of course, doing these lectures is a cumbersome, let's put that away, a cumbersome digital SLR, 5D Mark II, nice and full frame, in excellent video quality, but of course quite a piece of bulk to carry around in making these videos. So I thought, let's get something smaller that I can take with me. You never know where the possibility strikes you, or the opportunity to do some academic video recordings. Now, I specifically chose this piece of kit in as much as it came with this very nice adapter, because I have quite a few Canon lenses. And this little adapter here means I can fit any of my existing Canon lenses on this new mount. You cannot fit normal Canon EFS and EF lenses directly onto this camera, but with this adapter you can, and it works quite well. It also has this little flash unit, 90EX, for the odd photo. If you really want to take some photos in the dark, a very nice little flash unit. Let's have a look. The camera itself then. Here we go. It's a, as you can see, detachable lens, an APS-C size sensor, and that's fantastic. Not full frame like the 5D Mark II there, but much better than something of similar size with tiny little sensors. So that's the new mount. Simply attaches like any SLR camera, and then I can put all the other lenses on with the adapter. Another reason why I chose this little unit is because of the pancake lens, very fast f2.0, so I can shoot in quite dark circumstances. Number one. Number two, 22 millimeters. In other words, even though the space might be small that I'm shooting a video in now, I can get quite a wide angle on this. So very nice, very neat, very compact, easy to carry around. So what you get on the top, well, normal hot shoe for Canon, as for any Canon product. Your on-off button right there, and a switch here by the shutter release for fully automatic, for more advanced photography where you can set any of the settings that you'd really do on a digital SLR. And then right on the side there, the video settings. So if it's on that, you can record video. There's a video button though, so if you push that, even though if you're not on this little record, the video record setting, you can still record video. Very nice and bright screen, unfortunately not articulated, but that would be the same for the 5D Mark II. I do have a 600D as well, and that has the articulating screen, which is very nice. So this screen is fixed, but it's massive, more than 1,000 dots there, and 3 inches across, so very, very nice indeed. Your menu button, your playback button, your info button, and then this little scroll wheel here, which also clicks in 4 directions, and the set button. Nothing on this side. At the bottom for the battery, new battery, unfortunately quite small, so you need to have more than one to make these video recordings. And of course your SD card slot right there, fits on a normal tripod. And then on this side you've got your HDMI cable socket there to go directly to a high definition TV, your normal mini USB port there, and then also for external voice. Now a microphone, I never record voice on any of these, but certainly if you want to attach a microphone there, you can. I'm not familiar with this unit as much. What we have in the front is we've got it on the camera setting, which is this tiny little dial here, as I said, around the shutter release. So it says camera, so we've got it there. And this is a beautiful touch screen. In other words, as soon as we get going, I just press the shutter button there, we have a screen here. Now I'm just pointing it at the table here, so you're not going to see anything, but it's touch sensitive. So right on the top there, if I touch that, I have manual settings for the movie. Now remember, this is all about making academic lecture videos. So automatic setting and manual setting. Now I love to have it on the manual setting. The problem with the automatic setting, of course, as the light gets brighter or darker, it's going to change its exposure. So you won't have even exposure as you move. As light in the room changes, you want that on manual really. So just the back button there tells you we're now in manual movie mode. So with the manual movie mode, you get two things. There we have our shutter speed, and there we have our aperture. So I can set both. It's manual. The camera will not do it for you. As I said, that's the type of control that I like. So if you click on that, that'll give you how many frames per second. You can just click on it, just drag it around. 30 is the slowest it will go now because of some settings that I'll show you later. So it just moves back. 4.0, there's my aperture. That is how wide the little opening is in the lens. The larger this number goes, the smaller, remember, the aperture is, the less light gets through, but also the wider the depth of field. If you've got a very narrow depth of field, some things in front or behind you might not be in focus. If you're far in front of the board, you might be in focus and the board not, or the other way around. So ideally you want to go 5.6. As I said before, I chose this package with the pancake lens. It can go all the way down to f2.0, which is wide open, which means a lot of light can come in. So if you're shooting a lecture in a hall that's not as brightly lit, you can certainly do that. Here we just have the ISO setting. That's the sensitivity as it was in the old days of film. So if perhaps the room is too dark, you can bump up the ISO 200, 400. Of course, you do pay the price of a bit of grain. Now on this camera, it's an APS-C size sensor, so it's not a tiny little sensor that you find on tiny point and shoot cameras. So certainly the sensor can really handle a very high ISO, still shooting at ISO 1600, which is in quite a bit of darkness, you won't see as much grain. Okay, so we move back to ISO of 100, which is standard there, and we can just go back. So those would just be the normal settings. Of course, you can elect anywhere on the screen where you want the focus, to be. Now let's just pop into the main menu there. Well, let me just go back and just show you. There's that quick access button that just gives you a list of the most common features that you want to do. So you give the different types of autofocus mode. This is the autofocus lens, and there also just the autofocus looking for a face, and it will actually track the face, which is not really what you want. If you want to set up for a lecture and the camera is static, set your settings, have them all in manual, don't let the camera try and track anything. But that was for autofocus. RAW, that really is just for still photos. That's the one I'm interested in, the movie recording mode. So I'm shooting in full high definition at 30 frames per second. I can also do a more cinematic 24 frames per second. I can go up to 60 frames per second there, but then I only shoot at HD ready quality, 1:80 instead of the full 1920 by 1080. This 1:80 by 720p. It's progressive scan, 60 frames per second there. In other words, I can down convert to 30 or 24 frames per second, actually get quite good quality slow motion there. And then also for much smaller video there. And the video the sound effects there I haven't played with. Your white balance setting, as I said, set it for what it is in that room. Incandescent light and all the different types of light, or sun coming in through the side, whatever. Just set the white balance. Do not leave it on automatic. Otherwise, a cloud moves in front of the sun. The white balance changes. Someone puts on a light, and the light color casts over your screen. That is some picture styles if you want to play around with those, but more for photography. Although some people really use it in video as well. You can get some very nice effects there. But that's for a different time. So this is our menu setting as most Canon digital SLRs. Remember, this is basically a 650D and a tiny little rangefinder type style body. Very easy to carry around, but full digital SLR capabilities really in this small package. So again, I can just move around, scrolling the wheel, tapping to the side, all the same, or I can just simply touch on the screen any of these settings. So there, the image quality that I want to shoot, always shoot video, photos in RAW. The histogram that I like is brightness, the type of grid that I like. And the autofocus mode you can set here as well, autofocus mode plus manual focus, and which means you can let the camera focus and still turn the focus ring. The lens aperture, those we don't want to, these won't worry about, these are all for photography really. Picture style, I always leave it at neutral. And then there's your video settings. As I said, there we go. I chose 1920 by 1080, 30 frames a second. That's why the shutter speed only went down to 30. And some other settings there to play with. And then lastly, the delete button, again the set button. If you're just shooting normally, so instead of hitting Q there, I can hit the Q on there, get to the same settings. Most of all, remember, put it in manual mode. Once it's in manual movie mode, set your ISO, set your aperture. There we go, let's say f4, roundabout for the office that I shoot in, and then a shutter speed, slow as possible. I'm shooting at 30 frames a second, so I can certainly not let the shutter take less than 30 frames per second. And there we go, beautiful.